The cartoon community is an interesting entity, to say the very least. Its controversial figures are very well known, but the community itself is somewhat small compared to other communities on YouTube. When it has quality creators, you can tell that they try incredibly hard to make amazing content what viewers would want to watch. I think personally, in many aspects, the community is underrated, but people usually think of it as bad for its more frustrating and underperforming personalities. There are also those people who say, you can't dislike a kid's film because you're over the age blah blah blah. These people are wasting their lives, and I try not to take those people into consideration when I'm talking about things. There's a lot of talent to look at as well as a lot of shit to look at, like any other community, and I'm a fan of many of these creators, so I'm gonna be making this video. It'll have one half about my personal favorite creators, and one half about creators considered bad by the community, but I may or may not agree with that statement, and I may or may not think that some of these people are a bit over-exaggerated in how bad they actually are. Showing those considered the best and the worst will help in my point of showing they aren't all the same and can actually be quite different. I'm going to pick 6 figures to talk about for the video. Let's begin. SaberSmark is a YouTuber who started making cartoon-oriented videos as his main content about 2 years ago. He once made top 10s about somewhat generic topics, but he gave his own personality and flair to it, which included his more energetic style of editing to keep his audience's attention. His main videos have morphed into his What is Ruining or What Ruined Blank videos. These are videos where he talks about, in his opinion, the downfall of properties which he either liked or recently saw a huge decline in. They're, for the most part, pretty interesting videos talking about his own kinds of theories as to why a show or network may be changing for the worse and giving a sort of history lesson for the topic when discussing his background. He does once again make somewhat clickbaity videos on overdone topics every so often, but it's not to a point where his more original content can't be enjoyed or comes out less frequently. His other mainstay video series for the past year or so has been his What the Hell is Blank. It's basically a series where he looks at batshit crazy stuff for the purpose of entertainment. He looks at several foreign products, well-known or somewhat obscure ripoffs from popular Disney films, or just a bunch of weird or ugly animation. He does, like I said before, make many clickbaitish video titles like The Worst Movie on Netflix or Ever or On a Certain Site, which can definitely get annoying sometimes, but hey, at least he's consistent in the type of clickbait he makes. He tries to stay consistent in many aspects of his channel and his quality, most of his videos having his regular blue and yellow background, which is a helpful indicator to passing viewers as to whom they're watching. It's similar to how the reason The Simpsons are yellow is because when channel surfing, the yellow is an intriguing color to attract audiences. His intro is short, catchy, and grabs your attention, which is what an intro should try to do. Something that I find somewhat annoying is his reviews follow the common formula of reviewers recapping a film for most of the video and only explaining the main points in the last few minutes. The comparison being making a video and sprinkling in the points throughout the video as you're reviewing it and making jokes. But I don't think it's as big a problem since his reviews and What the Hell videos are more comedy oriented than his other videos. His voice is nice and easy to listen to, something definitely needed with this kind of content. He's consistent in his upload schedule, and he clearly tries with every video he makes. He also doesn't get into any huge controversy, which I can respect. Hot Diggity Demon or Max G may be considered just a reviewer, but he does talk about several animated films and talk about animation-related topics, so I consider him within the community. Also, he does actual animations within them, so I think he counts. His original viral video came in his Jerry series, which are considered some of the first viral animations on YouTube. They're basically just the story of a guy going through his life and having a bunch of interactions with people throughout them. He regained fame a few years later when he basically showed he was a brony with his several .mov videos. He kept up a steady pace and popularity as one of the best known of animators on the level of almost Harry Partridge. The thing is, after a while, YouTube changed to a point that didn't support animators as much since it took long to make the videos, but the videos themselves were pretty short, so if they didn't make a shit ton of views, they were basically considered not profitable. Max found a way to put out more videos while still being able to do the thing he loves for profit. He created a show Brain Dump, a new take on the analyzer of movies, including animated ones and TV shows, focused focusing on specific theories he has while intercutting animations with either his character or small gags he puts in for jokes. I mean, he has a roommate who is a goofy cartoon ghost and a sentient television. You see, these are the kind of things that could only be accomplished with animation, and Max takes full advantage of the type of reviewing show he's created. He even purposely portrays himself as a fat, unsocial outcast who has nothing to do with his life. Coincidentally, also the description of the signatures in my grade school yearbook. Max sometimes, instead of making what seems like regular videos, will trick his entire audience with a video where his roommate just annoys him for the whole video, or he and his TV get into a fight and she ends up leaving. These a lot of the time aren't just one-off either. There'll be ramifications in the next video, like in his newest video after he has a fight with his TV, he has no video accompaniment and just spends the rest of the video wallowing in his loneliness and arguing with Goofball over if Josh Brolin has a comically oversized handlebar mustache. I couldn't make up this kind of shit if I tried, in a good way. Max is a very cynical person who makes videos where people call him a worthless asshole, and the thing is, he's the one writing and animating all of this. It's self-deprecation humor in a way that you have to think to realize. His visual style is impressive, and not only that it's animated, but also in different styles of animation. His own character and backgrounds are 3D, his TV and Goofball are both 2D Flash, and most of his skits involve 2D characters, whether they be frame by frame or using puppets, and by that I mean 2D animation puppets, not actual puppets, so that would be interesting. He occasionally will even switch up his style, like in his opening where he goes for a lineless style, or with specific cartoons he talks about where he will change the line length or just how the character looks. I believe out of all the people in the community, when it comes to visual presentation and original ideas, Hot Diggity Demon shoots to the top of the list. He's one of my favorite creators and always has me waiting to watch more and leaves me laughing on the floor, and just letting you all know I'm putting a link to all these guys in the description if you want to check them out since they really need the support. How could I go through a video talking about the cartoon community without mentioning one of its most beloved and favorite channels? This guy is Pan Pizza. He talks specifically about animated movies, TV shows, or animation-related video games like Shrek. Remember Shrek the video game? His topics for videos vary while still having the same general cartoon reviewing premise. He may make a top 5 about the best or worst of animation. He may talk about several pilots that should have been picked up that weren't. He may make a video talking about a strange cartoon event with an air of mystery around it. When you tune into Rebel Taxi, there's a wide variety for what kind of video you're going to get. He's a classic example of making videos of varying topic while not straying too far to the point that his audience would be alienated. Rebel Taxi will sometimes include small animations in his videos. These just consist of him talking for the most part, but it's still a good effort and looks aesthetically pleasing. I wish he would do more of it, but with bi-weekly videos, I can see why he would only do it occasionally. He says his sort of rough style of animation comes from shows like Space Ghost Coast to Coast and C-Lab 2021. It wouldn't be an unjust assumption to say he was the poster child for all of the cartoon reviewing community. He's well liked within the community and by the outsiders. He's one of the most subbed of these kinds of channels. Pan's story for making YouTube videos on cartoons was because of shows like Adventure Time and Regular Show that got him into modern animation rather than just saying everything went downhill after the 90s. Those kinds of shows encouraged him to want to pursue a dream of creating his own show for Cartoon Network, though he says for the time being he is perfectly fine doing the whole YouTube thing, so we won't have to say goodbye to him anytime soon. His general personality is that of one of the characters in his top 10 animated perverts video mixed in with an unhealthy obsession for goth girls. He does clearly put on a face and persona, but he also noticeably shows portions of himself, which is good when making a persona because you want to have a little bit of you in it. He shows throughout his videos he has a huge respect and love for everything animation, even having little commercials between his videos from like the 80s or 90s for random shows or banners for the networks that he talks about. He will go to extremes to try to find the truth out about a weird anomaly he discusses in his Midnight Society videos. His videos always intrigue me for their originality and concept or interesting discussion pieces. His jokes I find are usually pretty funny and go well with his personality. People don't usually talk about his podcast, but if you're into that kind of thing, I'd highly recommend it because it's some quality material right there. He's also been perfecting his character design for several years to match his personality and help look more original. He seemed like the kind of guy experienced in video making who had a plan as to what he wanted to make and how he wanted to do it to try and make it successful. That's more than I can say for myself. I'm still in the process of trying to evolve right now. Now that I've finished with whom I consider some of the best, let's look at some who are considered the worst. I actually only think one of the people I'll be talking about is truly shit in their content. I'll try to explain my reasoning for not finding the others as bad, whether it be maybe how bad they were was blown out of proportion or they just improved over time. We're gonna start with someone who, I think in the past few months has been able to improve himself much from where he was from the past few years. You can probably see it coming. It's Were you expecting me not to talk about this guy? I mean, I have a differing opinion about him from the general YouTubers looking for views by saying he sucks and not elaborating on it, so I may receive some backlash from people who think he hasn't changed whatsoever in the past months and is just the same badly edited, whiny, and badly voice recorded Mr. Enter of yesteryear, despite the fact that it seems recently he's been trying to better himself. I made a video a while back talking specifically about, at the time, the bad part of the community, and I did say mostly just the generic statements that the populace said to get more approval rather than looking at them seriously. Out of the figures in that old video, I only feel one of them is still really worthy of scorn and mocking. I'm saying this now because I know someone who watched my old video might otherwise bring it up and say, "But you said something different in your other video." To be honest, I wasn't very happy with that video myself. That's why I deleted it, along with several other videos. Another thing is people's opinions on things can change depending if the subject decides to try and evolve their content. Anyway, Mr. Enter, I feel, has improved greatly with some of his newest videos in almost every respect. Mr. Enter is just your average CIA agent you're able to find behind any convenient alleyway, or he may just be the common example for a drug PSA of someone trying to sell you some of that good shit. He was known in the community for freaking out to an insane extent and having a low tolerance for gross out humor. He had a very bad voice quality with several cuts, and his editing was nothing special, sometimes reusing the same footage over and over, which a lot of people found pretty annoying. He got a status over a period of a few years as being the worst of the worst, unforgivable in any way. If you were going to make a video talking about the cartoon community, you had to mention how Mr. Enter made bad reviews, shot down your entire family, poisoned your water supply, and burned your crops. You couldn't defend his content, or else you were considered a piece of shit who didn't understand what quality content was, and I can't say that for a long time some of that hate wasn't justified. You ever heard of the phrase, stereotypes come from some place of truth? Well, Mr. Enter did have special occasions where he would have over-exaggerative or was unbelievable in his behavior, to say the least. I'm not saying everything he got was worth it. He did most of his worst shit several years ago, and a good majority of us still hold on to that fact as a good reason for hating him. I would like to make this clear. I'm not a fan of Mr. Enter's work. I think he can be boring and not the most original sometimes, but I have to admit he has improved quite a bit in his most recent reviews. He has editing going beyond bare minimum, his audio quality finally seems to be at a regular level with no echoing or things in the background, and he gets nowhere near as angry as he used to. It feels like he's listened to what people say about him and taken into consideration that when he's making his new content. He was able to make a video about a bad SpongeBob episode about gross out and he didn't even lose his shit. I feel like his newest SpongeBob video was a stark contrast to his first ever animated Atrocity video. In his original video, he speaks constantly in a pessimistic and pissed off manner, like he hates his life and this is only making him feel terrible. He speaks more formally and put together in his new videos with much better audio. One of the things I think has improved the most for him has been his thumbnails. This shit looks like it was done by a kindergartner high on crack using his foot, but this looks like it was done with a vision in mind by an actual artist. He's been trying to get a TV show off the ground, and I don't think it's a very good idea, but he's clearly passionate about it and has spent a lot of money on it. I wish him well in whatever ventures he chooses to continue with financially and continues to improve his content in whatever ways possible. Phantom Strider was thought to be the Watch Mojo of the cartoon reviewing community. He was compared to Watch Mojo for the kinds of lists he would make and how relevant they actually were, or if they were really needed at all. When Teen Titans Go was a popular topic on YouTube, damn, that feels like so long ago, he would make tons of different videos simply for the purpose of putting Teen Titans Go in the thumbnail. And trust me, in that time, he made many videos with Teen Titans Go in the thumbnail or video in some way or form. It was kinda ridiculous. He then decided to move on to making videos based around a specific country, and no one really cared. He has continued to make videos that are less clickbaity than before, and I think his content is fine. Nothing offensive or anything, that are alright, just nothing special. Really, I was thinking I would have had a lot more to talk about with Phantom Strider, but he's just sort of average. He's there, but really, I don't have much to say. Moving on. Now it's that time you've all been waiting for, to unveil the most undeserving of success and rightfully shunned YouTuber in the community. You all know his name, the video-making, daily, chain-smoking, not giving shit of a person. Hill's a shit YouTuber. I think we should just get that one out of the way. Every piece of criticism he's gotten, I believe he has been mostly justified in getting. He started his channel off 5 years ago with Minecraft videos, and they definitely were Minecraft videos. One word I wouldn't describe them as is worth talking about, though. Hey, it's funny because it's true. After he went through that whole phase, he began gaining traction with his dozens of videos about Gravity Falls, and I do mean dozens. It was his only topic for videos for over 2 years, even after it had already finished and had been completed. After he had to stop making Gravity Falls videos since the well ran dry with all the videos he made and the show had recently ended, he made a video saying he might not want to continue making videos because he doesn't get enough views and subscribers anymore. That kind of shows his character as someone somewhat manipulative and underhanded. He kept making videos just about cartoons in general, but he suffered from a lack of quality and improvement. He's changed his intro a few times, but once I realized he had a new intro but just chose to go back to the previous one. His editing has been nearly identical throughout almost the entirety of his channel's lifespan. You could watch a 3-year-old video and a current video and not be able to tell the difference. I'm not exaggerating. They will make videos about 5 minutes long at most on the daily. It doesn't really matter if there's any news related to cartoons to talk about, he'll just stretch something out to the longest extent he can. He's lost tons of respect over the years for how insipid and bland his content is. There are some people who still like his videos, but they mostly just consist of children who don't know any better. I didn't hear anything about him for the longest time, and there's a good reason for that. It's because he has become so predictable and unnoticeable on the YouTube landscape. No one gives two shits what kind of videos Belskibum94 is going to make anymore. Despite having over 600,000 subs, he barely is able to get over 100,000 views at most and 20,000 on average. I would talk more about why I dislike him so much, but there is a documentary link video about all of Vale's faults and why he's so intolerable, so check it out in the description for a more in-depth analysis I don't think I could ever be able to do myself. So there it is. I've looked at the good, the misjudged, the bad, and the insufferable. I hope you enjoyed this incredibly long video. I haven't seen a full look through the community, so I thought I should. I hope you all enjoyed, and remember, Christmas is a holiday meant to capitalize off of people's desires based on a pagan holiday where people would get mad drunk. Merry Christmas, guys.